Did we already talk about the future past topics or?
So they
I wasn't sure.
help from me.
There's one from Tim. I don't know that one. That one might be a new one. I don't know.
Let's see.
Are those the notes from the last week's meeting?
No, the last one was the 14th. So those must be the new ones.
Oh, okay.
So I put them in the wrong doc. Let's see, docs.
I think we're good. All right. Well, just gonna dig into them. Julian, you got the first couple.
Yeah, so I was adding a new setting this past week to our Helm properties. And so the new setting is essentially enabling us to declare how big the persistent disk should be that KPAC allocates for caching build artifacts from one build to the next. Because basically we had a customer complain that their ginormous Python app didn't fit in that cache, and therefore it was like downloading all the pip things every time it built, and it was super slow. But in the process of adding that, I noticed a couple things that seemed a little odd to me. One was we already have a disk size setting in the Helm chart, and we pass that to the API, and the API sets it in the CFBuild object, and then we ignore it everywhere. We don't do anything with it. So that seems, I don't know, a little silly. I'm wondering, could we get rid of it? Or should we get rid of it?
If it's unused, I vote for yes. It's always about potential impacts, breaking changes, etc. Is it going to, would it result into anything breaking? Like, what's the risk? Is there, if someone maybe reuses an old values file, something like that? I don't think it's likely to break, right?
Yeah. And we're not 1.0, we don't make any promises that you can reuse values files.
The other thing is, why is it there in the first place? Is it just a mistake that we ignore it and it was actually meant to go somewhere that we would like it to go to?
Well, I mean, I can understand why in theory you would want such a thing. So, I mean, I think Tim's take on it was that the original intent of this was that it would set the size of the ephemeral disk for the build pod, which sounds useful, right? Like maybe you need a bigger ephemeral disk in order to get your build done, but it doesn't appear that KPAC supports that. Like I didn't find anything suggesting that that was something you could set. So we might have just intended that setting and it just wasn't possible, or like, you know, it was something we wanted early on.
And how does it differ from your change? So your change is the cache.
So it's a different disk, right? There's the ephemeral disk that the build pod has, but then there's a persistent disk.
Yeah, which is the cache. I see.
One per app that we use to cache artifacts. So
Yeah, it's one per kpack image, right?
yeah,
It
exactly.
gets attached, I guess, to each build pod.
Right.
So
And
they
so
can
now that
only
we're
use
like
it.
reusing the image, we actually get a real benefit from that if you repush now.
Yeah, I would say let's just kill it then, right?
Yeah,
Just
I mean,
have
I
a
guess
PR that gets rid of it, and that's it.
all right, I can make a chore. It also exists in the CFBuild CRD, which is, again, like we probably can't take it out of there, but we could mark it as like unused or something. I hesitate to call it deprecated because it never worked, but okay, I'll make a story. So the other question was, all of these settings for staging resources live under an API key in that Helm chart, which seems like in the case of the existing ones, that's kind of an implementation detail because we consume them from the API process, but this isn't really about the API. This is like a, could just as easily have been injected by the controller. So I'm wondering if those, and then the new one I added is ingested by the controller, and I put it under the API key just so it could be with its buddies. I'm feeling like they should move into a more global location that isn't under API, but I wanted to check to see if anybody had any feelings about that. I mean, once again, it would be a breaking change in terms of the values file, but either we care about that or we don't.
Yeah, there's a bit of history there because we used to have 5 different Helm charts, but now we got one Helm chart, so it's a bit arbitrary where those things go.
Right.
Stuff in the API tends to end up in the API config, but yeah, it technically doesn't really matter at all.
Okay. I can make another different story to review that. We might want to just kind of rationalize it. I mean, there's some stuff that really is genuinely API related, like the ingress domain or stuff like that. And then there's other stuff like this that's just sort of like, I think it's there for historical reasons.
We could review the whole structure of the values file if you want to. Like if we don't care about breaking it, its structure, I mean, probably something that we, like, if we want to do it, it's probably better to do it as soon as possible, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I agree. And I think that makes sense. Like maybe we'll just take a pass through and try and rationalize that structure.
I don't know. Haven't we already deprecated maybe some properties or something in the Helm chart or not? I don't remember. There might have been cases of us keeping old things, just ignoring them and maybe marking them as deprecated or something. So this might also be an opportunity to get rid of them if we.
I think we did this for CRDs, but not Helm charts.
Oh yeah, in CRD, yeah, CRDs we do that. Okay. Yeah, I mean it's probably going to be a matter of personal preferences as well, like the structure. But we can, I guess, start with a proposal / draft PR and iterate on it until we reach agreement, and then we merge it in. Why not?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. But what I'm hearing at any rate is like nobody's standing up and saying no, the way it is currently is like,
I don't think we've ever really put any
consideration.
Yeah, exactly. It's just grown up the way it is. And when we add stuff, I guess, yeah, we try to put it where it feels like it belongs. But I don't think we've ever looked at it in a kind of holistic way as a whole file and reasoned about how it should look like. So if we're gonna do this, it surely would be useful.
Okay.
The tricky thing is you have to change the docs when you modify the Helm chart. I mean,
Yeah, and
like
also
install
we
docs and things, and the CI scripting.
we need to be very careful with that. We need to change the doc. Like CI scripting, I guess, will break. So we will notice, but we will not notice if we break the docs. So we should be careful about that. And then also there is a schema file, right, from which we generate like this markdown file documenting each and every field. So we also want to make sure that we change the schema. Yeah, I guess.
So it would
yeah,
just be the example in the docs that would be wrong, right? There's like, because most of the docs are just generated from the schema file. But then I guess in the install docs, we have an example.
Yeah, exactly. In the install docs in general, we tell people, yeah, which values make sense for which fields, etc.
And there's multiple installs. Like there's AWS flavor of it and possibly kind.
Yeah.
So it might be more than one place.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, it's very easy to forget those, because even when we release and we do the like an example install before releasing, we usually pick one of the three, right? We either do it on kind or we don't do the three of them because it would take forever, which means it's easy to miss stuff. It's true that I think the platform specific readmes try to delegate to the main readme as much as, or the main install.md as much as they can, but they might have their own references to those values. So yeah, let's just do maybe a grep of each field that we move to find all places it's used, even outside of the code, just to be sure. That would be a good idea, probably.
I mean, to me, compared with some of the refactors we've done in the past, it still seems pretty small. But
yeah, it's
there are a lot of places.
It's one of it's a change it's a change that doesn't allow you to lean as much on the compiler and stuff and the tests. That's why it's tricky. Like when we change code, we have the tests, we have the compiler. But when we change the docs or these kind of things, it's very easy to slip in mistakes. I think the first few releases we made such a mistake every single release. You're like, oh yeah, we forgot that thing. Can I go back, fix it? And it's it's hard to go back and fix the released tarball and stuff.
Nice. Last topic is from Tim, who couldn't make it. I just want to check in on what's left for 0.8.
We haven't done the middle topic yet.
Oh, we haven't? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, which should be quick. I mean, I just noticed like when I run make test locally, it was failing, and it was failing on some pretty basic failures that weren't flakes or anything. In the tools suite, but I don't see CI failing, which makes me think we're not running those tests in CI for some reason.
I'm not even sure what these tools are. Are they like?
I'm not sure either.
But yeah, if we have tests, why not run them in CI? Like, it's about integrating the whole code base, so why skip?
Right.
They're probably not there because we forgot or something, and not on purpose for sure. Yeah, no, these are not standalone tools either, right? They are just utilities in the code base, right? So it's definitely a mistake if you're not running the tests. There's stuff like the image client, which we use to communicate to image registries. There is a Kate patching client, which is the code we use every time we do patches and in the patching reconciler and stuff. Yeah, which has its own test. Yeah, the patching reconciler is actually here, right, with its own test. So yeah, there's really no reason not to test this stuff in CI. It must have been a mistake.
Okay.
So that's another chore we need, I guess.
Yeah, it should be pretty simple, I think.
Yeah,
Because
if you do
with Ginkgo, you have to run each suite separately, right? Yeah.
So if you do
Mhm.
make test, it does include it, and it runs all the. It's probably from when the make files were split up into ones per component. And CI just picks up controllers and API and ETE, doesn't it, and things like that.
Mhm.
And this is just slipped in at the top level, so it's not classed as a component. Oh well, yeah, it's just been skipped, isn't it? And it sounds like people aren't running make test. So we've got a script we run called test everything that also misses tools. So
So it's not really everything. Okay.
yeah.
It's most things.
Yeah, let's make sure to rename the script. And
Okay.
All right. Yeah, sorry for skipping that.
Oh, no worries. All right. So carry
Yeah,
on.
no, you're good. Yeah, so this last one is just from Tim, who can't make it. So what's left for 0.8. I threw a link into them for the milestone, but I think the other two issues that I linked on here are things we also want in 0.8. But I wasn't certain. Of those stuff.
yeah, I think that's what I heard from Tim as well. So we might as well just add them to the milestone.
Mhm.
Also, the milestone has this story about globally configuring the KPAC image cache size, which is the thing we discussed earlier, which is in to-do, but I assume you already have a merge PR, so I assume I can move it to reviewer approved, and it can be accepted either by me or someone else. And I'm going to add those other two stories to the milestone to 09 so that we don't. I know they already are.
The 0.8.
That's the thing. They were added to 09 because I added all of them to 09, but here we're talking about 08. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think that we want these two in 0.8. I don't know.
And
if
then the
there's
rest can go in 09 if we want to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there anything else that we're missing? Other people on the call? I'm trying to remember if there's any other. I don't know.
There's the other jobs if we want to do it to be complete, but the bug that I found today is also a bit insidious. I wonder if we want to fix it before. Yeah, I mean, if we have time, I'm gonna pull it top of backlog because it feels like something that is a bit dodgy. I mean, it's probably been there for a while, so I don't think it is that urgent, but
It probably makes sense.
maybe. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. I don't think you should block the release necessarily. Like if we manage to fix it by the time we're done with the other two things or three, fine. Otherwise, it can also wait for 09 maybe. Or we can release 081 if we think it's. The thing is, I've reproduced it. I don't know how likely it is to occur. I don't know how bad it is, if you see what I mean. Like, I don't know if it's a symptom of something much worse or if it's just something that we don't really care too much about. I need a pair to take a look at it.
Okay. What's
I was
the?
just.
I'm sorry. I totally. If you mentioned earlier, I lost it. What's the high level on it? Does it?
Basically, I was accepting the build packs. The story about specifying build packs when you push, and I was pushing manifests with a list of build packs, and I was taking build packs in and out of the list. And I found a specific sequence where, like, pushing a Node.js app with both Java and Node.js build packs succeeds, right? Then I take out the Node.js build pack, so only the Java one is in. Push fails, telling me, there's no candidate build pack for this app, which is correct because it's a Node.js app. Then I put the Node.js build pack back and push, and that gets stuck. So it doesn't succeed, it doesn't fail, it just gets stuck. Which should, and looking at K9s, I don't see a kpack build being generated, which means I somehow managed to do something that doesn't result in a kpack build being generated. I don't know why. Like, I know that since we've moved from 1 image per build to 1 image per app, we had to introduce a bunch of like checks, because sometimes build can be skipped, and korifi in that case kind of forcefully generates a build manually, kind of. And I do see that sometimes while doing these kind of experiments. But with this sequence, that wasn't happening. So maybe there's a bug in that logic. Maybe it's not even that sequencing. Like, I tried many sequences. This seems to be to be pretty consistent. But maybe it's more like it's more random, actually. Like, maybe it's just a, I don't know, a race or whatever. Maybe my machine in this particular moment is generating it more often. I don't know. Has to be investigated.
So if you restage when you're in the stuck state, does it unstick?
I didn't try. I didn't try.
I expect it wouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, because like basically what we do is we change the image, and that triggers a build. But sometimes the push results in no changes to the image, so we have to kind of manually generate a kpack build or something.
Or if we do something that kpack decides that no, this would never succeed, so I'm not going to create a build, we have to work around that.
Yeah, something like that. So I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm pushing a certain, like, I'm pushing a manifest A, then I'm changing it to B, pushing, that fails, and then I'm changing it back to A, and maybe somehow it remembers A, and or somehow I'm pushing a state that it's already been in, so it doesn't trigger a build or something like that. It might as well be a bug in kpack, or I don't know. It's weird, but I just didn't have time to investigate further. But we should pick it up and take a deeper look.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
I don't know if we want to block 08 for a time, because 08 is so long overdue, honestly, that I wouldn't block it, because if this is a bug, it's been around for a while anyway, so it doesn't feel like it's urgent. So I would release 08 as soon as we can. If we manage to slip this fix in, good. Otherwise, we'll do either 081 or 09 with the fix, because it's probably unlikely to occur anyway. Most people don't even, I guess, mess with the build packs list so much as I did.
Cool. Sounds good. Any other topics? Anything else you want to talk about over here?
I just say, Tim says, is there a way of getting out of this apart from deleting the app? So one way is just modify the source code and repush. So it is simple to get out of it. You can work around it.
Yeah, again, I haven't tried any particular workaround. But yeah, another useful thing might be for people to try my steps and see if it happens to them too, just to rule out that it's just a weird condition I randomly got into. And then once you're there, you can try if you have any ideas about how to work around it.
Okay. Covers our topics. Anything else? All righty. Well, thank you. Sorry. See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.